Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 496, Mr. Savage.
Kentucky Downs, huzzah! Only 1 day left.
One day left for Kentucky Downs. That'll be this Wednesday, September 13th. Del Mar officially over. Yesterday, the 10th, was the final day, and it ended with the Del Mar Futurity. We'll talk about that race. The best 2-year-old performance I think we've seen anywhere from anyone. Actually came on Saturday in the Debutante. No offense to Galabrand, but Tamara, oh boy.
She looked like her mama. She was loving that Del Mar track. Just absolutely beautiful. Didn't really ever get asked. And they went quick early there, too. Awesome effort there from her. Had a nice little exacta in that one, too. We went 9:13. We talked about those two on the show as a two that could come from off the pace. And that 13 ran up for second nicely. It was a nice little 13-1 exacta. I was happy about that race.
Of the two 7-furlong races this weekend, the Futurity and the Debutante, and then you look back at the hopeful at Saratoga that we'll talk about briefly as well. She ran the fastest 7-furlong time of anyone, and she was geared down 7-length winner. And just, you mentioned the daughter of Beholder. Oh, when they turned the corner and like you just saw Mike just shake the reins and she just started immediately extending, I got chills. I was like, yes, this is so cool.
You love seeing it happen at Del Mar, too. I mean, where Beholder really got her marquee win in the Pacific Classic and the move she made in that race, just making horses look like they stand still around the turn. So one of my favorite races to go back and watch because she was so dynamic in it. And you love to see her daughters doing well. Probably going to be your pretty heavy favorite here in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies now up in Santa Anita in just over a month here.
Yeah, we'll talk about her race and what we think about the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies as well as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then also talk a little bit of Kentucky Downs because I think that at least the two Breeders' Cup prep races, they're worth talking about as far as the World Championships go. So, fun show. If you're in the comments section, we want to hear from you. Let's get into it, buddy. Riders up.
Stop. Real quick for everyone who's in the audience, we got free Samo Bombs up on the site. So if you want to log in and go get the Samo Bombs, specifically for the late pick 5 here at Golden Gate, we've got a $36,000 carryover in the late pick 5. Starts in race 4. We're in race 2, so plenty of time. Just log into your account on the website, go to the dashboard, and the free picks will be there, including the late pick 5 ticket. Now you can do it, Magic.
Riders up. What's this DraftKings drama before we get into it?
They decided to put up a parlay with all the New York teams today.
Oh, the 9/11 thing.
Yeah, not good. Not great. Anyway, where are we going to first here? Del Mar Debutante. Talk a little about Tamara.
Yeah, let's talk about Tamara, winner of the Grade 1 Debutante at Del Mar. I was surprised, and you mentioned it was a fast early pace. I was surprised that she was right on the hip of pushing this, and then just like when it was time to go, she just went. Like she went, took off, and like I said earlier, fastest of the 7-furlong races for the 2-year-olds right now.
Yeah, she didn't break well in her first start. Broke a lot better here today. Was sitting right outside the lead. Dreamfire scratching out of this race was a key scratch. Took some of the pace out of the race. Probably meant that Tamara
is what we've been told. Yeah.
Yeah, no E in there. Tamara sat a lot closer to that pace today. It was set by the 8-horse pushiness, so we kind of expected to be out front. Julia's Dream doesn't break that well from the inside, so she's not involved in the early scramble for the pace here. I mean, they went a little bit slower once you got into that middle part of the race. You can see that 25.27 internal split there, but still came home pretty quick in the 12.69. But again, this was a spot where she wasn't really asked. This was in hand as she was kind of galloping away from everybody. So there was a lot more left in the tank. You get the feeling she's going to like going longer too, just like her mama. So I have a feeling 2 turns, no problem here for this horse. I actually thought Laurent ran a really good race running into second here. I realized got beat by 6 3/4 lengths, but was breaking from the 12 post, was all the way out there, had a wide trip in the around the far turn. It was 4 wide there. Was shuffled back a little bit. It was a little further back than I expected. I think 2 turns also a positive there. So I'm interested in the top 2 coming out of this one.
Mostly Tamara for me. Laurent, I think she's got room to grow. I thought, a better break this time was at least nice to see from her. I'm worried that she's too far back. So we'll see what happens when she goes to 2 turns, because I think that'll be what really kind of determines it. But she's by practical joke, right? So that's a little iffy. Not impossible. We saw that from practical move, but Tamara for me, this is the clubhouse leader for the Breeders Cup Juvenile fillies, and that's no offense to Brightwork, who's 4 for 4, including 3 stakes wins, including the spinaway. So she's done nothing wrong, Brightwork, but I think Tamara has shown that the ceiling is like way up there. We don't know exactly how high, but we just know it's way up there.
To me, that's the key there. Brightwork had to really work to win the spinaway. Was facing a pretty good horse in Wager Means, and just not. It was able to put her away on the front end of it. Tamara here, to me, though, like you said, we haven't even scraped the bottom of the barrel of talent here yet. We're still sitting in the middle of it, and 2 turns going to be a positive for her as she tries to stretch out and go for longer. A draw obviously matters in that race. You're going to have a bunch of horses in it. You want to get good position, but the tactical speed she showed over the weekend, I think, is a huge positive for her, because she's not going to be way out of it. She's going to be able to sit close to the pace. We know she can pass horses. She did it in her debut. She was sitting second in this spot. To me, this is just a filly with a ton of talent. And again, you look through the what is this? What the chart here as well? We always talk about, look where the first place finisher was, third place finisher was. So Pushiness, who was in the lead early, ends up running 7th. Cheeky Girl, who was sitting 3rd, ends up running all the way out there in last place. So you could kind of see that you wanted to be maybe a little bit more off the pace here, and that still was Tamara, who was on the pace, able to get the job done.
So impressive. Very excited to see what she can do at 2 turns. Out of Beholder, but daughter of both Dioro, so shouldn't be any issue with that. I know that her older sister was a great turf sprinter, but this one, I think, is just screaming dirt in 2 turns. So great to see from her. Great to see Richard Mandela, a nice guy, having a good horse. One day later on Sunday, race 10, the feature race was the Grade 1 Mar Futurity. And here you had Prince of Monaco, the 1-9 favorite. I mean, 5 cents on the dollar here. You really can't get much cheaper than what this horse was. Not exactly how you want to see a 1-9 win, Mike, especially when it's a Baffert 1-9 and it's a maiden that he's barely struggling to get by. What did you think about this?
I don't think this was Prince of Monaco all out. I think Miramati was all out on the inside, and Prince of Monaco was just kind of going through the motions on the outside. This is interesting too, because Miramati, a horse that was wildly hyped early, never really reached that hype level, but I thought clearly ran the best race of his career in this spot, running second to Prince of Monaco, and dug in down the stretch, because once Prince of Monaco got by, you kind of felt like this was going to be a 5-6 length win, and never really able to get over that 3/4 or full length on Miramati. I was impressed with the Miramati effort. I liked the early speed we saw from Miramati is here as well. I think if he stretches out, he becomes more dangerous if he can show that same speed and be able to go with it. But this felt like we didn't see everything from Prince of Monaco either. Once Pratt got the lead, he didn't really ask. He didn't really push. I thought it was a impressive win, not a just like off the charts blowaway win like we saw last time against Muth. And then that, to me, it's another horse from Baffert that I'm interested in. Ended up scratching out of the Hopeful, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what to do with this one, though, because outside of Prince of Monaco, there's not much in this race. And yeah, Prince of Monaco won. Yes, he was impressive in it, but we've seen Miramati get punched in the mouth a couple times already. This division to me is still wide open, and we're going to talk about the Hopeful, like I said, and that showed just how wide open this division could really be. I would expect we're going to have 3 Bafferts as the favorite when we go to the gate at Santa Anita here in early November, and Prince of Monaco probably going to be under even money in that race right now.
Well, yeah, I think so. The one I thought that might take the most money and attention away from him, if not Muth, would be Heartland. But I actually checked; Heartland hasn't worked in a bit, so I hope that he can get back into training soon. But a super impressive debut winner, but he hasn't worked in a bit, so sounds like he might not make it for that race, because you need to be in tip-top shape if you want to win that and then go to the Breeders' Cup. I don't know who I like right now in the juvenile. I think my pick for the juvenile is still yet to be seen, really. I think, we've got the Iroquois coming up this weekend, which is the first official Derby prep of 2024 is this weekend. That's just always weird to me.
Yeah.
So we can see what happens in the Iroquois. But then, we'll have the Breeders Futurity. We'll have the American Pharoah Stakes. We'll have what is the one at Aqueducts? The Aqueduct, the Champagne Stakes. Yeah. So we've got plenty of time still. I think we haven't seen it here. Prince of Monaco, I don't want to see him at 2 turns. I think he's a good 2-year-old, but for what you want to see from a Baffert, it's not here. There's something weird with his right front too. I couldn't tell if it was paddling. It was hard to see from the head on, but I don't know if you caught this, Mike. He's got a weird action to it, and it's not. He doesn't look right when he's running.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like you watch his debut at Los Alamitos, and I didn't find that inspiring. But man, that second race against Muth, that was very impressive. Especially again, I considered Muth better horse than him going into that race, and he blew the doors off him. I'm not sure if we're distance limited here or not. I mean, it's a Baffert, so I don't really want to say that we're distance limited because we've seen Bafferts consistently get it. Speightstown have a Magliadoro mare. And the bottom has the distance. Speightstown, generally more of a miler, right? So the top is a little bit shorter, but I mean, Baffert got it into mischief to go 1.25 miles with no problem when you think about authentic. So I'm not going to hold my breath here and say that he won't be able to get the distance. And again, this crop isn't very good right now. We just don't have any horses that you point to and you're like, that's a superstar. That's a horse that can run them off their feet. That's a horse that wants the 1 16th, is going to get better every single time we stretch out. Until we see one of those, it's hard for me to really get behind anyone to upset him. But I mean, I can't take Prince of Monaco under even money in the juvenile, though. I probably want a better price than that on somebody because, again, if it's a wide open field or if it's not that impressive and you still have the positive regression you can see from a lot of these horses because it is second, third, fourth start of their career, I think you got to try and take a price.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, it's going to have to be a situation like with Echo Zulu in the juvenile fillies a couple of years ago when there's 4 or 5 horses in the race and one of them is clearly faster early than the others. Like, all right, well, you're going to have to, eat a lot of chalk on Prince of Monaco then, but that's, I think, for me, the only time I would do it. I see people asking about Heartland. His last work, he had a really nice 5 furlong work on August 26th, and then we haven't seen him since, but he was working up for the Del Mar Futurity. So, Austin, I don't know if you know anything about it, but I haven't seen anything official. I just know he's missed works. We talked about horses that we're not that excited about. The Grade 1 Hopeful Stakes a week ago. We missed this one because it happened on Labor Day. Saratoga's closing day, their feature race, 7 furlongs for 2-year-olds. And of course, just like we started the Saratoga meet, Gary Contessa with a gigantic bomb wins the feature race for 2-year-olds. And he does it again here with Nutella Fella. I mean, good for Gary and good for Junior Alvarado. Nice people. But, I mean, goodness, 26-second middle split there, 13.5 seconds final furlong. Like, you would have thought that they were running in molasses out there.
Yeah, I mean, Yo-Yo Candy finishes last. What a fluke that win was at 45-1 during the Saratoga season as well. I believe that was a Saratoga special that he won. I got to give a shout out to the DRF Clockers reports. Nutella Fella works over the track after winning at Delaware and got a B+ Clocker report, which was the highest with Timberlake in this race. Ends up winning, coming from way off the pace. Look, we talk about stumble bunnies, man. These horses wanted to go 6, not 7. And it was very apparent in that final time, almost 14 seconds for the final furlong. And Nutella Fella comes from last and just picks everybody up. Guess who's started second to last? It was Timberlake. I mean, so you kind of look at that there and you're like, hey, look at that. Last and second to last rally up. Yo-Yo Candy, by the way, started third to last, ends up in last. If you look at the quarter pole, though, you have Nutella Fella there in 10th. Pirate made a nice move from 8th, but you look at the leaders, they ended up running. Just Steel ends up running 4th to last. Yo-Yo Candy runs last in that spot. I mean, you had to be coming from off this pace because it absolutely collapsed after they went that sub 45 opening half mile. I'm not taking much out of this. The horse I want out of it is the horse I wanted into it, Timberlake. I thought that was the best horse in this field. Thought he ran pretty well here, considering he was sitting mid-pack and only half, or what was it, about 2 lengths off the lead there, going the 44.89. So to me, it's Timberlake out of this race. I think the Nutella Fella was more of a setup than a actual talent thing here. Not a great race, though. A little disappointing Gold Sweep, who had a monster number in debut, then ended up going and running in that Saratoga special, lost to Yo-Yo Candy, but didn't break an ounce. Broke pretty well in this spot and just kind of spun the wheels once we got into the stretch.
I was disappointed in Pirate because I saw 10-1 on Pirate, and I was like, he was double-digit odds the whole time, and I was very excited about this horse, a son of Omaha Beach, first crop. There'd been Omaha Beach producing winners left, right, and center, including with him on debut, and it was all the rage when he broke his maiden, and then suddenly, a month and a half goes by, and everybody's forgotten about. I'm like, what? Nobody likes Pirate at this spot, so. I thought with the very wide trip that he had, and all things considered, I like him as well. So, he and Timberlake are neck apart, so I would take those two horses moving forward. By the way, Pirate, also a half-brother to National Treasure, who won the Preakness Stakes this year. So a lot to like about those two. BU, I think, was disappointing. You see, he was a nickel under $3. The maiden was a nickel under 3-1, second choice in this spot. Which kind of, I think, tells you about this field too, but you would think with his breeding that he would stretch out better. Irad choosing this horse over Pirate, again, you would think he would do better stretching out, but he wasn't anywhere close, really. I know he had to step on the brakes at one point. Do you like BU as well?
Not really. I mean, there was hype going into this one. You talked about maiden going here into the hopeful here. We have seen a maiden, obviously, famously win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile with Good Magic, your boy. So it is possible. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I mean, I don't think that effort was good enough to kind of take a big time step forward out of it. I think long term, BU's a talented horse. Not sure. Look, if we're looking at this field, if anyone was really that talented, they would have won the race. I think is probably the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be like, well, the fourth place finisher has a good shot at taking a step forward in a bad race, because this is a bad race. So to me, like I can make excuses for Timberlake. I can make excuses for Pirate. I don't really love anybody out of here, though.
Yeah. What about Chris Mello brings up Fierceness. Fierceness, the Todd Pletcher debut winner at Saratoga by about a pole and a half in the mud. On a dry track, we'll see what he can do. But I would think they're pointing right to the champagne with him. So, there you go. Those are thoughts on the juvenile. We're still holding out for a hero in this situation. Speaking of the Breeders' Cup, Mike, Kentucky Downs had 2 Breeders' Cup win-in-your-in prep races over the weekend. Get Smoking goes gate to wire in the Kentucky Turf Cup, which $1.7 million purse, a mile-and-a-half race, and a huge field, so great betting opportunity. I had liked him in here. I thought he's sneaky as a price to do exactly what he did. Talk to me, I guess, about the race, but also for the Breeders' Cup. He could have serious implications on the race itself, even if he doesn't win it.
Yeah, I mean, it installs a little bit more pace, which I think is good for some of the horses that are going to want to be coming from Europe and want to come from off it. I don't necessarily love horses up front in those type of Breeders' Cup races when you have the Europeans coming in. I thought Get Smoking ran really well. I thought it was a great rise by Fernando de la Cruz here. He went 24 in the opening quarter, but if you see what he did there in the middle 2 quarters, slows it down, goes almost 26 seconds, then goes 24 and a half seconds there, and then picks up that pace in the 3rd quarter to reestablish a lead. Speed's been very good at Kentucky Downs as we haven't seen much rain go through there, and as that course has firmed up, speed has gotten better and better. I think Get Smoking took advantage of that. I think Fernando de la Cruz took advantage of that. I was kind of surprised he was able to hold everybody off here. I think we need to quit Verstappen and Satine at this point, because both of them had every chance to get by and got amazing trips in this race and just weren't able to do it. But again, this is one of those divisions we talked about. You got to be playing prices here, because there is just not that much between the best horse in America going long on turf and the 20th best horse in America going long on turf. And so you got to be looking for prices in here. Get Smoking, a good look by you if you like that one. It's a long shot, because was able to go out there, get comfortable on the lead, and never really got threatened.
Yeah, he looked fantastic and very comfortable. Horses like Red Knight, you can feel for. I thought Tyler Gaffalione did a smart thing looking back on it with how slow that they went in the middle of the race. Instead of letting him try to come from last going that slow, is he put him into mid-pack and kind of let the horse find his groove, and was, a nose and a head away from second in this spot. So with a little bit more pace pressure, maybe he could get up there for the win. He's a hard-trying horse. Verstappen, Santine, Unless they're back at Churchill Downs, I think you got to pass on those two guys. But Get Smoking, as far as the Breeders' Cup turf goes, and you'd assume that he will go, he's shown he can handle the distance, but he makes things interesting from a pace perspective. Any chance at all that he could win or even hit the board? Because as far as we know, the Europeans don't have any speedsters, and American speed is faster than European speed.
I mean, yeah, sure. There's a chance he could hit the board, but like you go back to like Ellis Park in the last race, me and Mr. C and Chellis both beat him. I mean, like to me, this was a very course aided win. So we'll have to see what that Santa Anita course looks like and how speed favoring it is on the turf. Speed usually very good on the turf at Santa Anita, better than at Del Mar. So I could see a world where he's able to hit the board, but man, it's going to be tough because the thing is if you let some of these Europeans, let's say we go 114 and there's a European that's within 3 lengths, they got a little more kick than Spooky Channel, Santine, and Red Knight, right? Like, they're going to be able to run you down in the stretch. And Get Smoking, for everything we've said, went almost 26 seconds the final quarter of a mile. If you go 26 seconds, you're getting run down. It's happening. And so he's going to have to be better on Breeders' Cup Day than he was today. And this track was favoring speed.
I just was picturing a side-by-side video of this race where it's Get Smoking and he's pulling away from Spooky Channel, and then the same shot of him coming off the turn to Santa Anita, and he's got that lead, and it's like Rebels Romance and Up to the Mark and Far Bridge, and they're all just like zoom right past him in that video.
Just inhales
poor Get Smoking. Yeah, just inhales him. Yeah,
and that's the problem. Like, that wasn't a good idea. That's the problem. This is just not like, yeah, a great win, kind of a little bit of a false win here because you just never know. And the horses that were chasing him really looked like they were going up and down. They looked tired by the end of this race. Get Smoking wasn't exactly galloping out like a spry young man here. He was getting tired too. It's just no one was really coming at him, and that's why he was able to hold everybody off here.
Dr. Tang says Irad Ortiz was not very Irad in this race. He rode Kaido Dan to a middle of the pack, start to finish, 6th place finish. If Irad wins this race, Dr. Tang wins the King of Turf WWE belt. Ouch. That's going to be hard to get over.
I mean, he ran 7th, so it's not like it was close. Sorry, Doc.
Well, I thought you meant Doc wasn't close to winning.
No, Doc was close.
No, because of the horse.
The three tournament set, all at Kentucky Downs. He did very well in one of them, and then was set up to do very well in the last one, and got Iratted here apparently.
Well, Doc, if you had just done the right thing, which is play the 19-1 winner gate to wire, then you could have won it.
Doc just play the speed on the turf. That's a normal handicapping strategy, right?
Speaking of speed on turf, Gear Jockey almost went gate to wire a couple races earlier, which is another reason I like to Get Smoking in the Turf Cup. He wins the Grade 2 Turf Sprint Stakes the second time in 3 years. He got no respect on the tote. 23-1 is what he goes off as. And then you look back at his resume, and every race between this one and the last time that he won this race, it's been trash. So I understand why he was kind of forgotten. By the way, if you're watching watching us on YouTube or Facebook here, check out how close that photo was at the end. I knew it was close, but goodness me, look at, you got one timer there. You've got Bad Beat Brian living up to his name. Olympic Run. They're all just in a giant mess right there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of buried the lead because when he won this was September 11th, 2021. Not 22, 21. And his buyers in his last 2 races were a crisp 64 and 59. So to say that it was not he should have been 40-1 in this race. And I realize Kentucky Down's going to Kentucky Down sometimes, and horses who love this track run well at this track. Well, Gear Jockey loves the track and ran very well here. I feel really bad for Bad Beat Brian. I thought that was a phenomenal job at getting this horse on the lead. Something that we have not seen from him really since a win at Kentucky Downs last year. That was the last time he was on the lead at the first call. He took them pretty much all the way. He's on the inside there, the 4-horse. The one, I was a little surprised one timer was as far back as he was in this spot. He ends up being able to come up and close. The one I'm disappointed in, and I'm not going to be like overly upset about it. Cogburn had a great trip. He really should have won this race if he had any kick. Now, maybe he didn't like the track. Maybe it was just wasn't right for him. He's been great since he went to the turf. So he's one out of here that I'm going to give kind of a pass to. But I mean, I guess you just tip the cap to Gear Jockey, who had not even sniffed a buyer close to the Kentucky Downs buyer in 2021 since, and hadn't before either, by the way, because his 2 career best buyers both now at Kentucky Downs.
So first place prize, $589,000 and change. We'll call it $600,000. We'll round it up. He's a 6-year-old horse. There's nothing about him. He's intact. There's nothing about him that really makes you go, yeah, I want to breed to that horse. You see what Casa Creek can still do at age 7. I think you just let this horse run at the Breeders' Cup. Maybe one more. Maybe you send him overseas or something. One more race, and then just give him the spring and summer off, and train up to Kentucky Downs and come back, because that $600,000 purse that bought you several months at the farm there to take care of the horse.
Why isn't he running twice in the meet? Why aren't you running him like opening day, closing day?
That's where I was going with it. Is run it like prep him to be able to run twice, like save him up for this meet.
Yeah, and Car Ramrod chiming in. Looks like Cogburn hated the track. Rob chiming in 5.5 at Saratoga, does not transfer 6.5. I agree with both of those. That's why I said I'm kind of giving Cogburn a pass here, especially with how good he's been since he got to the turf.
Maybe one timer, because with the breaking from the rail, he actually had to kind of turn right before doing that big wide swooping turn. Maybe that threw him off a little bit. But great effort from all these horses. It was a fun race to watch. Anybody at all in here interest you for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, though?
I mean, with the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint at this point, you have to see the field before you can get excited about anyone, with just how much variance we've seen in that race. And we had a monster winner in Caravel last year. Honestly, like, I kind of I like these Kentucky Down horses and their next out, but I can't really get excited about anyone and say, yes, this is going to be a horse for me off of these races. Like I said, Cogburn, I think, is interesting, shortening up, being able to go, being able to run shorter at Santa Anita. I think that track is going to play more toward what he wants. I think One Timer is one that's interesting there, because he wants to be on that style of track as well, should be more forwardly placed. But I want to see the lineup. I want to see how much speed is signed on. Generally, we've just got an abundance of speed in that race, and you either see it hold or absolutely collapse. And so you kind of have to pace handicap before you can make a choice in that one.
Reminder, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint is the penultimate race of Breeders' Cup Saturday following the Classic because of TV. TV. Reminder that we get the Turf Sprint and then the Sprint.
Football is the reason.
It goes Classic, Turf, Classic, Turf Sprint.
And the BCBC ends in the 2 sprints, which is going to make that wild as well.
Yeah, you got to get through that Turf Sprint. That's going to make it...
it's a great place to take shots.
Speaking of the Turf Sprint, I was curious to see who's even considered for it right now. Motorius for Phil D'Amato, Caravel under consideration, Bradsell for Archie Watson overseas. Make a Yell from Japan didn't win a Challenge Series race. Live in the Dream Breeders' Cup horse from overseas. Beer Can Man, Jasper Crone, I know that name. Highfield Princess, she was here last year, didn't do that well as a 3-year-old. Cogburn, who we just talked about, I think he has a chance to rebound. So yeah, it's not only do you need to see who comes over and see the field, but I need to see post positions for this race as well. You got to know, where's the speed? Is it all together? Is it all inside? It can get pretty nutty pretty quick there.
It really can. And it's nice to see 2 Japanese horses on there too. It's going to make this Breeders' Cup even more interesting if we're having to handicap some of these Japanese horses coming over from Asia too.
Michael Olson says Highfield Princess ran late trash this weekend, so maybe she's not coming. Maybe they just haven't updated it yet. Car Ramrod says Aloha West still gives me nightmares. Right. Yeah,
me too. that whole Breeders' Cup, that late pick 5 sequence will give me nightmares for a long time. Because if Malathat and I can't remember the donkey that couldn't get home in front of Aloha West, was it Dr. Shivel? Malathat, and I think it was Dr. Shivel who loses that race by a nose. If the 2 of them get home, I may be retired buying an island at this point. That's how much I would have had that pick 5 for, and it didn't happen. So here I am.
Yeah. Well, I would have been in the winner's circle photo if Dr. Shivel had won. I ran half the damn stretch like a jackass, and then I had to walk back with my tail between my legs because he lost.
One of the funnier Breeders' Cup moments is Magic sprinting down the grandstand to try and get to the winner's circle, just sprinting past all of these people.
Knocking over the waiters because we're in the section of Del Mar Grandstand where they have waiters.
You were closing faster than Aloha West, and then you just got a better view of Dr. Shivel getting picked off at the wire for all of your effort, and then you had to walk back and be all sweaty.
past all the waiters who were pissed off picking shit up that I had knocked over.
Because Magic's not a small dude. Not saying like Magic's a fat guy. He's just a big guy. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and got broad shoulders. And when he gets moving, he's like a lead blocker. He's gonna not take some people out on the way.
If only I'd been able to put on some bulk, I would have been a great offensive tackle because I got the height, I got the reach, I got the legs. But
there you go.
Yeah.
It may a nice little tight end. That you're like a good flex tight end there. No, that was a football comment. Jesus. Unbelievable.
Speaking of football, over at racingdudes.com, you can get best bets for all of the football picks happening over the weekend. Speaking of football, also, the Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. Do you want to know if I called Jared and left him a voicemail again?
I hope you did.
I did not this time.
Oh, no. He probably wouldn't have been as upset because he wasn't at the game. And honestly,
or his birthday.
Or it was his birthday. It was also kind of a fluky loss. That's still one of my like top 5 Magic Mike moments when we're together and maybe a little bit tipsy in Santa Monica watching a football game that Jared's at, and they lose in overtime to the Chargers, and then we call him up and leave a voicemail for him just to
because we were recording. We were like, let's see if we can get him live on air for literally the game had just ended on a missed kick?
It was a 2-point conversion in overtime. It was 2-point conversion to go to overtime, and then the Chargers won in overtime, I believe.
That's right. Something like that. Yeah, it was good. He was not happy. He didn't speak to me for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah,
he didn't find it funny like we did.
He wasn't as mad at me. He did not talk to you for 2 weeks.
Well, I was one that made he knew who was driving that bus and who was just like strapped down in the back seat.
Just a passenger.
Anyways, racingdudes.com. We've got the best bets up there. You can check out Dudes Who Bet Sports with Papa Dude and Aaron. They covered all the NFL and college football games. I saw a retweet from the Racing Dudes account about just how historically bad the New York Giants game was. So if you're a New York Giants fan, I apologize. Mike, tip of the cap because you predicted they were going to have a terrible season before it started.
Yeah, nice.
They're off to a bad start.
Good start to the under. It's already dropped a full game. It won't be that bad all season. That was a nightmare matchup for them on paper. It talks about having the Cowboys -3 on VSiN last night before the game kicked off. To me, that was a beautiful spot for the Cowboys, a really bad spot for the Giants. You can't have a bad offensive line against Dallas. You're going to get run over on the defensive side of the ball. And once that game got out of hand and you add in the rain, they pulled Waller out of it because they didn't want him to get hurt. It was just a no-win situation for that Giants team. There'll be better days. Yesterday was not one of them. You know what this look reminds me of, though? Like, this reminds me of the absolute butt whooping I gave Aaron in fantasy football. Beat him by 40 points this weekend. So, got to at least mention that. They did that. I'm not going to talk about what his team name is, but we definitely gave it to him over the weekend.
You want to find out his team name, tune into Blinkers Off, and you can ask them and find that out live. I'm guessing it's something fun. That might not be super appropriate.
SEC appropriate.
There we go. All right, that's what I was trying to say. But you can check out Aaron's latest rankings of the top 5 horses for every division. And now that Del Mar and Saratoga are over the 2-year-old division, he's got the debut for that as well. Go check out who he's got behind Tamara, or who he has, or where he has Tamara, because she's actually not first. I was surprised about that. Where Prince of Monaco fits, find that all out right there. Go to youtube.com/racingdudes. You can check out the video versions of those where he explains his top 5 3-year-olds and top 5 overall horses. And then the previews for the final Kentucky Downs races of the meet, the 2023 Juvenile Sprint Stakes and the Untappable Stakes. That's what the other one was. I couldn't remember what it was. But go check those out over at the site. Of course, you can check out the Samo Bombs. The Samo Bombs had themselves a nice little weekend, Mike.
Yeah, been good 2 weekends. Hit a hit for $8,600 at Saratoga on the Sunday closing weekend, and then followed it up with a $4,300 pick 5 from Kentucky Downs on Sunday. So a nice little $13,000 in 2 weekends. Got to hopefully keep it rolling. Again, you got about 30 minutes to kick off the late pick 5, which has a carryover at Golden Gate Fields. Those are up for free on the website. Just log in, check out your dashboard. You'll see free products, and the Samo Bombs with a late pick 5 ticket will be right there for you if you want to check that out. It's been fun, man. It's nice when you cash a couple big tickets and you're able to get some money into people's accounts. And it was fun, especially the Saratoga one. If you didn't see the post, my dad decided to tail my picks. So he bets my picks from some certain days, specifically when he's at Saratoga. He was at Saratoga that day. He cashed the late pick 5 for $7,300, his biggest cash of his life. And so I got some fun phone calls from my dad, and he had a brick of $5,100 bills. He was very happy with himself coming home from the track. Got some texts from my mom just documenting exactly what he did when he won. So it was fun to get all of that from him as well. And he was involved in that cash.
That is incredible. I remember you saying that that would just be so great to be like getting that call like from your dad. You're like, yep. It's great when you've had customers, countless customers hit big major scores, I'm sure, and like life-changing scores. But like when it's someone like your dad that you have that personal relationship with, that's awesome to hear. So congratulations.
Pretty cool. He had to go to 3 different windows at Saratoga because they didn't have enough cash, so he had to end up at the IRS window to be able to cash the ticket out. Which was his like favorite part of this thing because he's like, I'm a high roller. I can't go to the windows here. I got to go to this window. And so it was entertaining to talk to him.
I would totally do that too. I'm glad he got to enjoy it. If you are, make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kellebart. He is at SummerBomb18 8. Make sure you're following him and checking him out on VSiN every Saturday and Sunday, 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, right?
Yes, sir.
We should get the time zone right. 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific. You can check out Mike hosting his show, talking about NFL and college football lines. So if you're into betting that, if you want to make a lot of money outside the world of horse racing, check out Mike on the VSiN network. Anything else you want to plug, buddy?
6 to 7 Pacific both days, 9 to 10 Eastern. Really cool hours. On Saturday, we have the contest show. So Derek Stevens, the owner of Circa Sports, and Jeff come on, and the two of them jump on and talk about the contest pick specifically for the week. They talk about Circa Survivor, which got over $9 million in it. Already 21% of the pool out after week 1. So we talk about who are the most picked teams there. And then on Sunday, we talk about the lines for the following week. One we talked about was San Francisco -6.5. Both Matt and I bet it on Sunday on the show. It's already -8 now, so you're able to get closing line value big time there. Able to bet back the other side if you want to. So it's a great look ahead if you want to try and get better at betting NFL. A great way to do that is to bet it early. We rip through every single game from 6 to 7 Pacific, 9 to 10 Eastern on Sunday while the Sunday Night Football game is going on.
Woo! Busy boy. Love it. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to youtube.com/racingdudes, and remember racingdudes.com for free picks for every race, every track across the country, as well as the free Summel Bombs and the free premium products. They're all at racingdudes.com until, let's see, it'll be Thursday. Oh, we got to figure this out. So here's our options. We can do opening weekend of Backwaduct.
Okay.
Opening weekend of Churchill.
Okay.
Or 3 Grade 1 Breeders Cup prep races at Woodbine.
I like Woodbine.
Woodbine, okay.
Woodbine probably get the
I wasn't trying to lead you to Woodbine. I just wanted you to have the facts.
Well, I like the 20-cent denomination, too, because it allows us to spread out a little bit more for kind of the ticket size that we're looking for. So I do enjoy that. You generally get bigger fields, bigger prices. However, that Churchill pick 5 will probably be pretty decent, too. We'd probably get more people to watch if we pick Churchill, but I kind of want to pick Woodbine.
I pulled up Blood Horse just to get the exact names of all of these stakes that are happening. And I see the news from the sale that's going on. There's $1 million Full Brother to Practical Joke, $1.25 million into Mischief, $1.5 million Uncle Mo, million. Wow.
Yeah.
There's just so much money flying.
One. I think there was a $2.3 million one too. I might have missed that, but I thought it was.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's crazy. Anyways, join us on Thursday, September 14th. We're going to cover Woodbine's late pick 5, which I assume will include the Grade 1 Natama, the Grade 1 Woodbine Mile, and the Grade 1 Summer Stakes, our annual sojourn north of the border to Woodbine. So join us on Thursday. Love to have you then. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike, who played the under 44.5 in Monday Night Football tonight.
Good luck if you're playing that, and we'll see you Thursday.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.